Hello, this is Jamie Magrich. Welcome to Jamie's Craft Table. Today I'm going to show you how I made this card. So let's get started here. I'm using Memento Tuxedo black ink. Oval occasions, I'm just using the hugs part of this sentiment, hugs and kisses. I actually did stamp surgery. This one I just masked it, but I'm going to use it more this way, so I took it apart. I am using all of the, oops, I didn't put them back in here. Oh, they're on here. All of these stitched triangle dies, the actual perfect triangles, are these tall ones. I'm using those. I am using the bicycle from Windmill Fields dies. I have a 1 3/4 inch square of white, a 1 7/8 inch square of black. I have a 4 1/8 by 5 3/8 inch piece of white, and a 4 1/4 by 5 1/2 inch piece of black. I have my card base, 5 1/2 by 8 1/2, scored and folded at 4 1/4, or you could go the 4 1/4 by 8 1/2, scored at 5 1/2. That would be good for this card as well. Okay, let's put these aside. Alright, I've die cut out the bicycle with black cardstock. This is the little piece that I used. It is about 1 1/4 by 1 7/8 inches. This just was a scrap. Okay, then I've used all of this set of triangles, and the tiniest one I've cut twice. You do need to keep in mind if the paper has a direction, which direction you're cutting it on the paper. So I've got the largest triangle, and I've got it with the bottom of the triangle at the bottom, so the pattern goes up and down that way. That's the first one. The second one is just the opposite. The flat part of the triangle, this narrow skinny part, is at the top, so I want to make sure that the direction of the paper goes up and down this way. Okay, so it's opposite of this one. The third one is this red polka dot. There's no direction on it. The fourth one is the purple, which is the back side of this one. Then fifth one is this little yellow triangle, and again there's a little bit of direction in it, so make sure it's going up and down. This one's not quite as important. I've also cut this tiny one, the last size. I've cut this one twice. I've cut it once out of the yellow and once out of the Poppy Parade. And then I fussy cut out of this paper, oh not this paper, this paper, a little tulip. Okay, that was the only tricky part. Okay, so let's set this over here. Let's bring in our, let's do this piece first, because it needs some stamping. I'm going to bring in my Stampin' Pierce mat, 1 3, and I'm going to bring in the hugs, my Memento black ink. And over on the top, what's on there? Yeah, I guess I'm turning it over. On the top right corner, I'm going to stamp hugs. Okay. Alright. Now I'm going to bring in that bicycle. This is the only fiddly part on the whole thing. And I'm going to use my Tombow Mono wet glue. You could probably use glue dots for this. And I'm just going to put a little bit of wet glue. Very little bit. A little bit goes a long way. I'm only going to put glue on the bottom of this basket. I don't want it to adhere yet because I want to be able to put the tulip in it. Okay. Let's see. Bring in some tweezers just to make it a little easier. I'm going to make sure it's straight. I'm just going to set it down. Now I'm going to bring in that tulip. Put glue on the back of it. I'm going to tuck that in the basket. Okay. And I'm going to mount that to the 1 7/8 inch black square. There's just a 1/16 of an inch border. Okay. Get this out of the way. And the one thing I did forget to bring onto my table, I used red rhinestones for the hubs of those tires. There we go. Okay, so that piece just needs some dimensionals on the back of it. Okay, we'll put that aside for a minute and we'll work on the rest of the card. Okay, we're going to bring in the 4 1/8 inch piece, 4 1/8 by 5 3/8 inch piece of white. We're going to start by laying out our design. So we want this one down first. It needs to be pretty close to the bottom, like 1/8 of an inch. Okay, then this one is going to go over here. I want to make sure it stays on the white paper. This one will go here. This little orange triangle goes over here. This purple one goes over here. Okay, so we need to adjust just a little bit because we need it to be on the paper. So let's move this one over just a hair. This one up just a hair. This one over just a hair, so that this purple one can fit on the paper. There we go. Okay, then we've got a little red one to go down here, and a little yellow one to go up here. The reason I did that is so that it kind of drew your eye around the page. Okay, so now we'll glue those down. And again, I'm going to start with this one. The only lift I have in the card is the sentiment. I'm using the wet glue, so I have that little bit of wiggle room. Okay. And I like to dry fit them, that way you know they fit. Now if one was to hang off, you could just trim it off, that would be fine too. But I just wanted the whole triangle. And other than these two little ones, I didn't repeat the patterns. But you could. Oops. One more little one. I moved that one up a little because I wanted to break that plane. This one probably should have been up higher, but it is where it is. Okay. Now we'll mount that to the 4 1/4 by 5 1/2 inch piece of black. Okay, we're going to mount this to the front of our card base. And this should be the same size as the front of the card. Make sure it's open the right way. Okay, then we'll bring this in. We'll take those backs off. And we'll place that down here. Alright, there you go. There's the card we just made together. Here's the one I did previous. Well, thank you so much for joining me today at Jamie's Craft Table. I hope you have a great rest of your day. I hope you can find a little bit of time to play with some stamps, ink, and paper.